Hi, Beth. So I would suggest you go back to lesson 9 and review the provided information. So you had the encoder practice cases back in lesson 9, and there is no more compute button. So when you get to this particular document, this is a view of the encoder currently. The final screen does no longer have a compute button on the side. The compute information is up here at the top. So here's the MSDRG weight. In this case, it's 379. The MSDRG is 379. The weight is 0.6446. The principal diagnosis is identified by the word principal. Any additional diagnoses are here. The MSDRG information is also here at the top of the screen. This is the ICD-10 summary screen. It will automatically go to that place once you have assigned a diagnosis and a procedure code. It actually goes there while you're assigning the diagnosis codes also. So as you are coding the case, once you begin the process, it's the same as in the video in the course, which is also here in lesson 9. You start out by putting a patient's age, admission and discharge date. You put in the admission diagnosis first, not the principal. You put in the admission diagnosis first, then the principal. And then as you want to add diagnosis codes and procedure codes, you use these buttons here. And then it will automatically keep going back into this ICD-10 summary page. Once you have fully coded it based on the information you're coding from, that's when you know it's done. There's no more compute button. It auto computes as you are entering the diagnosis codes and or the procedure codes. This is your summary screen. This, in this case, identifies everything on this particular case, which is case 1 of this practice assignment. The admission diagnosis that was entered is here. Then the principal, additional, the ICD-10 PCS procedure code is here, and again, the MSDRG information, 379. The relative weight is here. It's also at the top. And this is where all the information is that you need to know for the assignment. This is the JPEG that you sent me. Again, at the top here is the MSDRG information. It's really hard for me to see it because it's really small. I can't really make it any bigger, the picture itself. But the MSDRG information is a 3-digit number right here. Right here, you have the principal diagnosis. You're not showing an admission diagnosis because you probably didn't enter one, I'm guessing. I don't know. And then you have the procedure code. This is your answer or your submission for the practice assignment. One thing is you're not putting in a decimal point. The correct ICD-10 diagnosis code is D24.1, not N6310. Then there is a secondary diagnosis code. And the encoder is not going to tell you this. You have to know this from your clinical information. Your procedure code was correct. You have the correct MSDRG, etc. So this is a view of the encoder. And I'm just entering in information. I'm not using the case information, just to give you a view. You have to enter a date, an age. You hit continue. Then you have to put in the disposition. Again, I'm just using information. You can type in This is your admission diagnosis screen. You can type in the code if you've already coded it with your manual, for example. You can put in the decimal point, it will take it, or you could type in the words. And if you've already typed in a code, you have to go back. And this is only the admission diagnosis. Then you hit continue. And now you can type in or put in the words for the condition you're coding based on your clinical information. Now I'm making the selections based on my clinical information. Now we have a diagnosis code. At the top of the screen, it's already giving us the MSDRG information based on this information at this point. If we continue to add diagnoses, or we continue to add a procedure, this MSDRG information could change. If you get a nosology edit and you don't want to see it, and nosology edits are just information, you can obviously pay attention to them, but you can also collapse them down. And if we stop at this point, based on our clinical information, this is the MSDRG for this patient, 293 with a relative weight of 0.6656, and that's what you would typically need for the assignment. If this was a case where you are adding a procedure code, this is where you would add it. And again, this is based on my clinical documentation. This is not necessarily for your case. Or your practice case. And now you see that the MSDRG did not really change in this case when we added the PCS code. But now you have the MSDRG at the top, you have the relative weight, you have the admission diagnosis, you have the principal diagnosis, the additional diagnosis, and the principal procedure. All of this is here on this page, and this page happens to say ICD-10 summary at the top. There is no compute button. If that doesn't help you, please let me know.